fashionistas, long time no see. I'm back and super excited to share my part of the trendy Basque waistline dress using the freehand cutting method. I'm going to base this tutorial on a two-part video. In this particular video, I'm going to be sharing the bottom part of the dress, which is a mermaid skirt. Then the next video will be the part of the bodice, that is the upper side, then altering it to the back dress. I'm sure you guys are going to gain one or two tips from this tutorial. So guys, I want to thank everyone who subscribed and remain steady with your love. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started with the tutorial, guys. Okay, you are welcome back, guys. Like I said, this tutorial particularly is going to be a two-part tutorial. We're going to demonstrate the skirt part here, then another video I'm going to demonstrate the upper side of the dress. Then we'll alter it and you see how it's being made using a freehand cutting method. But before we start cutting, there are things we need to consider. That Ankara material comes by 45. So if your dress is long, you cannot use the 45 side of your material. Another thing, the pattern determines how you cut your material, and moreover, the straight grain, which is also called the lengthwise grain, is better when you want to cut your material. Reason being that it has some stretch along that area. So now I'm going to fold my material. So guys, after folding your fabric, like I folded it, you need to determine the volume you need for your flay. The way I used to do mine is that I would divide my hip into 4, then the extension that I need, which is the flay, can be 5, can be 6, can be 7, can even be 10 that I'm going to add to it. One thing you should know, anytime you are making a mermaid skirt using the freehand cutting method, the volume should not be that much, because the beauty is not going to come out. You understand? Because you are just adding the volume at the side. But if it's the slash and spread method, you can add volume in between it and the beauty will come out very well. But for a freehand cutting method, the volume should not be that much. So in this case, I'm going to add 7 inches to my extension. So by the time I divide my hip, which is 42 divided by 4, that is going to be 10 and a half, plus 7 inches, that's going to be 17 and a half. So when I fold my fabric, what I do next is to place my tape, from the self edge. As you can see, remember I said the lengthwise grain. The reason is that it has stretch, if you can see. But if I use this side, it doesn't have that stretch, guys. So now I'm going to mark the 17 and a half, then I will fold back. You see it, you mark the 17 and a half, you can see. So you reduce the wastage from your fabric. So the next thing to do is to fold it back. So to reconfirm, I will check this side. You can see that this point is ½ inch more than, so I have to fold back. Okay, then I'll check this side. As you can see, this is 17 and a half. So I'll make sure I have very straight material to cut. Okay guys, so you can see what is left. If not, this side, if I folded it just equal, this side would have wasted. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark 1 inch from the edge of my material. Okay, so the next thing, I'm going to mark the hip depth, which in this case I'm going to use 9 inches. So the next thing I'm going to mark now is what most of us call the knee length, but I call it the breaking point. So my breaking point is going to be 17, can be 17, can be 18, can be 19, can be 20, depending on the height of a client that I'm working for, but in this case let me use 18. Okay, so I've marked those, then I just connect my points. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to measure the length of the dress, that is the skirt part of the dress that I'm making. Now the dress length I'm making is 60. I'm going to use the back length to cut it. So now my back length for the upper bodies is 16. Then I'm going to take my tape to be able to enable me get my 60. So I'm going to shift my fabric, as you can see, so to enable me get my 60. So this is a 60 here. So I'll mark my 60. Okay guys, so we have established the length of our dress, the breaking points, the hip line, the waistline. So now I'm going to apply the horizontal measurement. So I'm going to start off with the hip line. The hip is 42, like I said, divide by 4, which is 10 and a half. So I'm going to mark my 10 and a half. Then I'm going to add my sewing allowance. I'm going to add 1.5 inches. So my breaking point, to subtract 2 inches from it, I have 11 3/4. So the 11 3/4, if I subtract 2 from it, I'm going to be using 9 3/4, guys. So I'm going to mark my 9 3/4 here. So the next thing to do is to mark our waist measurements. The waist is 34, but because we're going to cinch the waistline, reducing it by 2 inches from the waist measurement, which is 32. So 32 divided by 4, that is 8. The next thing is to add our sewing allowance, which is 1.5. You may ask that I didn't add that allowance. I've said this in my previous tutorials. Anybody with a protruding stomach, I don't add that allowance to the front. I only add to the back. But if I'm working with a small size that may have flat tummy, I can add that to give a fitted shape. But for somebody with a protruding stomach, I don't add that to reduce wrinkles at the sides. The next thing to do now, guys, is to connect my points. But before I connect my points, I normally extend from the hip down by 3 inches, which sounds like a tie line for me. So I'm going to connect my points, guys. If I've watched my previous tutorial, I always said anything you connect on the diagonal, you need to reshape to have a perfect circle around the length of your skirt. So the way I do it, I measure from the straight line that which is the breaking point. This is 26 and a half, if you can see it. Then I extend it to this point. Then I swing my tape. So when you swing your tape, you can see that there's a difference between it. So I'm going to mark that 26 and a half. Then I will connect to give my skirts a good shape. Due to the same protruding stomach, guys, you need to move down by 1 inch from the center front of your waistline. You can see, move down by 1 inch. Then from this point, you move up by 1/2 inch. I'm just demonstrating this. I would have just cut it out because I'm still going to alter it to my Basque dress. For the sake of those that are not doing Basque dress and I will still want to know how to make a mermaid skirt. So this is what you do. You move up by 1/2 inch, you move down by 1 inch, then you connect. So the next thing to do is to cut it out. Then we fold our fabric again to cut for the back side of our skirts. So guys, I've folded the leftover fabric, as you can see, and I've marked the center back, mark nail points. Make sure you don't slide away from it. Place your hip line. and mark. The next thing to do is to create our bust shape. So how do I create my bust shape? From the breaking point, I'll move in by 1.5 inches. I'll mark it, then I'll extend to my hip line. Now this 1.5 inches that I remove from here, I'm going to replace it at the side of the back skirt. By the time I sew my front and my back, they will align together. So I extend this to my hip line. Okay, now another point I'm going to remove some gaping is at the zip line. Remember the hollow of the back, there's a gaping there, so we need to remove 1/2 inch. So I'm moving by 1/2 inch. To some clients, to remove up to 3/4 inch. So I'm going to extend that, then I'm going to mark it towards the hip line. Okay, as you can see. Then the next thing to do, remember that the back of the skirt is going to have a dart. So with this 1/2 inch that we remove here, we're going to replace it, then we'll add the 1 inch dart allowance. So at the side you mark 1.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that, then extend by 6 inches of the dart length, then I connect. Okay, the next thing is to create the length for the back of the mermaid skirt. We know that a mermaid skirt, the back is always longer, so it depends on how long you want it. It looks like a train. So I'm going to extend my by 5 inches. So I mark my 5 inches, as you can see. Then I'm going to connect from the side of the skirt. The next thing I need to do is to connect it from the breaking point down to the length of the skirt. So remember, I said anything on a diagonal we need to reshape. So I'll place my tape from the breaking point, check the length, which is 30 here, then I swing. Okay, so I take it from the 30 inches and I reshape to get my very curved shape. So from this 1.5 inches, I just connect to the side back again. So the basket is almost complete. The next thing we need to do is just to create our zip for the back, then our sewing allowance. So I'm going to mark from the 1/2 inch I'm moving, I mark 1.5 inch, 1.5 for the zip up to the hip line. The zip can always stop at the hip line. Some people take it below that, can stop at the hip line, or you take it further. Then the rest, you just mark 1/2 inch for the sewing allowance. As you can see, our back mermaid skirt is ready with the front. The next thing to do is to cut it out. Guys, the front and the back is ready, as you can see. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If it was, please do not forget to give me a like, a thumbs up, guys. And if you are new to my channel, please do not forget to subscribe, and do not forget to share. It will be very helpful to someone out there. I will see you on my next tutorial when I will be drafting the bodice for my back dress. See you guys later.